begin to explain how happy I am with this chair. It's something that I've been wanting for a long time. Maybe it sounds silly, but I really struggle with buying big things for myself, and this was a little birthday treat, and I'm very happy with my decision. It is so comfy, and I love that I get to sit here and take a look at all of my book collection, which is beautiful. I love looking at it and getting inspired by it. And it is, of course, the perfect spot to film again, which I also missed very, very much. Welcome to a new vlog. Speaking of that, we are trying to get back into a better reading mood. Fortunately, I have already read some good books this year. My most recent favorite was To the Lighthouse by Virginia Woolf. It was our pick for the Whimsical Readers Book Club, which was amazing because I loved hearing Melena's and Lucy's thoughts, especially because it was a reread for them, so it was fascinating to hear their perspective as a rereader, and then there was me reading it for the first time and trying to understand everything it had to offer me, which I obviously failed at because that book has a lot. It explores so much about the human experience, and I loved it for that. And now I'm excited to get into some more new books because basically all I've been reading this year has been manga. It has been a great tool for me to keep reading even if my brain is feeling especially tired. But right now I'm going to try and slowly reintroduce myself to bigger novels, which isn't the case with this one at all. It is very teeny, very tiny book, but I'm very excited to get to it. This was also a birthday gift from my friend Sarah, and it is called Now Go on Grief and Studio Ghibli by Karl Thomas Smith. Now, Studio Ghibli is one of my favorite things in the entire world. I love their movies so much. This book is apparently an attempt at analyzing how Studio Ghibli movies, no matter how bright and colorful and fantastical they look, it's trying to examine how they explore grief as well and more serious subject matters, which if you are familiar with them, you know they can also do that very well in such a brilliant way. So I'm very happy to own this little book, and I'm very excited to read it. I just got it, but I knew I needed to start it as soon as possible. So that's the plan for now. Let's see how I get along with it. But other than that, I cannot stop gushing about this chair, I swear. I'm just really happy I have it. It's so beautiful and comfortable. I love it. So I just finished this, which is very exciting. Another book of my TBR, always feels nice. I have to say, this apparently was not the book for me in the sense that I am not the right audience for it, I don't think. Just because I have been a fan of these movies for so long now that all of these ideas that he explores here are not new to me. So basically I feel like I didn't really gain anything from this book. It was still a cute reading experience, and by the end he started sharing some very personal takes, which was fun to see. I also liked the fact that we did have some different perspectives on a few books, and that part was fun, particularly about this character, which is called No Face. It is from Spirited Away, which is probably my favorite Studio Ghibli movie. He associated that character a lot with grief, how it does represent grief, and that has never been how I felt about the character personally, though it is connected to grief, but I don't think that's what the character represents. So it was fun to see a different point of view than mine, but other than that, I don't really think this is the right book for me as a major Studio Ghibli fan who has already kind of considered all of the ideas that he talks about. It became a little repetitive as well. I feel like during a few points he was always touching on the same thing, just analyzing it from a different movie's lens, but it still came to the same conclusion, so it became a bit repetitive. But it was still a nice enough reading experience. I would say, well, maybe I would say to whom I would recommend this book is to people who either are just trying to get into Studio Ghibli films, maybe you've seen a few of them or even the majority, because to read this book you will have to be comfortable with some spoilers for a few movies that he lists at the start, so that's nice. Some of them are minor spoilers, others are major. It also depends on what you would consider a spoiler, so just be sure to check the list before you read the book. But yes, if you are maybe starting your Studio Ghibli journey or haven't really considered how it might be linked to some more serious subject matters, then yes, I think you should give this one a go. I think it is a good introduction to that world, but personally I would have preferred something a bit more advanced. Not advanced, what's the right word? Maybe that is the right word. I would expect this not to feel so superficial to me, again in the sense that I have already thought about this millions of times. This is one of the biggest reasons why I love Studio Ghibli movies so much. So yes, I didn't really get anything new from it. It doesn't mean that I disliked it. I love having it on my collection and I do think it's a very cute little fun addition. But with that said, I would love to start a different book, and before I do that, I actually need to select a few options for our Whimsical Readers Book Club, because we are trying currently to announce our next selection of books. So I really need to get on that. I need to think about which books I would love to read with them and discuss, even though I always feel like Lucy and Malena have already read all the books that exist and that I own, but I'm gonna try and come up with something different. We'll see. My reading life has been all over the place lately. I feel like I'm at that weird stage. I don't know if this happens to you as well, but I am at that weird stage of a reading slump where I think I might be getting very slowly out of it, but what happens is that I get way too overwhelmed by all the books that I want to read. I don't know where to start. I just want to make up for all the time where I wasn't reading, which sounds a bit silly because obviously that's totally fine, but it feels like my brain is trying to compensate for all of that time. And so I just start picking up some random books that I do want to read. I'm just not sure if this is the right time for me to read them. So what happens then is that I end up picking a lot of books and try to decide which ones I am in the mood for, although at this stage I'm honestly not sure. So I end up mixing up different genres to see if I don't get tired of any of them and see where it takes me. I do have an ongoing audiobook which I have been listening for quite a while, but I'm hoping to finish it soon, and that's Burial Rites by Anna Kent, which I'm actually really enjoying. It is beautiful, it has a stunning writing style and very haunting as well. So I'm trying to debate whether or not I should continue with the audiobook or just read the physical copy, which I do own, and take some notes because there are some quotes there and just the language that I would like to take note of for the future. So I might switch it, but other than that, which I am reading very slowly, I did end up picking up two more books. The first one being Ghost Music by Anne Yu. And this, I don't remember exactly where I've heard about it, but it has a lot of elements that I love. Music, of course, and then all the mushrooms. And then the description said that it was a melancholic, mysterious exploration of a young Beijing pianist grappling with family secrets, a distant husband, and the meaning of music and expression. This sounds right up my alley. It is also very short. I do think I will enjoy it a lot, at least I hope so. So far I've only read 12 pages, so I'm not sure exactly what to expect just yet, but it seems to be very whimsical and dark at some point, so I'm definitely intrigued. And I also need to shout out this beautiful bookmark. I don't think I've ever had such a perfect match between a book and the bookmark that I use, which is something that I do try to do quite often, but this is the best one so far. No question about it. I got this beautiful bookmark from my friend Sarah. She made it for me and she was so incredibly kind, and it completely matches the book. It was not on purpose at all, but I love it. So that's the other fiction book that I have going on. But then I also picked up, and this I'm very well aware that it's going to be a slow read. I'm just going to take my time with it. That's precisely what I usually do with this type of books. And that is Otherlands, A History in the Making, not history, a world, a world in the making by Thomas Halliday. So this is a non-fiction book about the evolution of planet Earth. And it starts at the dinosaur era, so that's very fun. It already has a few illustrations. Let me show you some. And this is the sort of book where I always learn so much from, and it's a fascinating read to me usually. I love reading about our planet, nature, our connection with it, our origins, and how everything keeps changing throughout the years. I find that completely fascinating. So I do own quite a few books like this one, and I would like to slowly make my way through them. So this is one that I've heard incredible reviews about as well. It seems like a very good guide, and I'm just very interested. But I know this will take me a lot of time to finish, but that's okay. If you have any recommendations on books like this, so about the evolution of our planet, or it could be about climate change as well, which, yes, it is depressing, but I do love reading about it and knowing more about that. Anything surrounding nature and animals, plants, trees, anything like that. If you have recommendations, I would love to hear them.